spot, bringing stats like a kingpin. MMA knowledge meets his nephews all lean in, breaking down fights, calling stat daddy supreme. On just a tip show, he's cooking up a dream. Uncle Weezy, he the man, dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand, MMA guru, more than just a fan. Wanna know the numbers? Weezy got them cataloged, from the fighters reach down to how many times they dog. Just a tip living, breaking it down slick, hit you with the knowledge, won't miss a single trick. Uncle Weezy, he the man, dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand, MMA guru, more than just a fan. Balls deep predictions, he be making those calls, getting in the details, opponents feeling small. From jabs to takedowns, got the whole fight ID. Uncle Weezy spitting truth, no lie, keep it G. Blow the horn, blow the horn. Stat Daddy Weezy not showing no scorn. Fight night kingdom, he wearing the crown. Break it down for the peeps, never looking like a clown.
Oh, yes. What's going on, everybody? It is Thursday night. We've got the fights coming up this Saturday, UFC Vegas 111, headlined by Randy Rude Boy Brown and Gabriel Bonfim. I believe we've got a 12-fight card right now because they added a fight late on Wednesday that really didn't need to be added. And we're going to break down those fights today. I'm going to give you guys my dog pick of the week, Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. I'm going to finish up with a Greasy 4-leg parlay, and then we're going to do some Ask Weezy. So you can put your questions right now in the chat. I'll get to them after we break down this card. We could talk about the gambling scandal. We could talk about bets on this upcoming card. But the gambling scandal is really something that's kind of caught my attention this week, obviously. Brady and I went live on Saturday night after the fights. You know, not only do we have the blatant fixing of a fight from Isaac Dalgarian, you know, a fighter, but then we also had the commission step in and pull a stunt by starting up a fight that had been stopped in the Antidelia versus Waldo Cortez Acosta fight. And in between those two fights, I lost a total of 7 tracked units. I had actually gotten out of most of my Dalgarian bet after the line started to move, and it was clear that that fight was going to have a result that was unusual. And so I mean, like, I'm really happy that Dalgarian got caught out in the open doing this, and that it brings light to the fact that, you know, these commissions have been pretty blatantly fixing fights out in the wide open for the last few months, and it gets more and more cartoonish every time. They break their own rules. They start fights that shouldn't be started. They let fights go on where there's clearly irregular betting patterns happening. In my opinion, the Lucas Almeida fight a couple weeks ago, that was just as bad as this Isaac Dalgarian fight. I mean, those are fights that the commissions absolutely had time to stop. And, you know, I know some people are like, why would you want it to stop? Just bet on it. It's about the fucking integrity of the sport. Who gives a fuck about cashing one bet when at the end of the day, it turns out that your entire sport is manufactured behind the scenes by people with money, and they're creating outcomes that shouldn't be happening. So, you know, I don't care about cashing one bet. I care about betting on markets that aren't widely fixed out in the wide open because it looks like there's nobody watching and that there's no consequences for these people to be doing this kind of shit. When fighters see their own fights being fixed by these commissions, judges, referees, of course they're going to be more willing to go out there and throw a fight because they know it's all fucking scripted anyway, because these people are pulling this shit behind the scenes. The fighters know it. The managers know it. The UFC probably knows it. You know, so it's right now, I'm really glad that this happened, even though it cost me a ton of units last week. And it was all from those fights that were manufactured results. I think that hopefully now that it at least looks like people are watching, that maybe we can get some results in these fights that are actually honest. Maybe we can get a commission that's out there trying to worry about fighter safety and fairness rather than corruption and doing the things that they're clearly doing that has nothing to do with accountability or integrity of the sport. So I'm your Uncle Weezy. I'm your host. We're going to talk about UFC Vegas 111 right now. I'll go through this card really quick for you guys. And after that, I'll give you my dog pick of the week, the ass shaving of the week, and the Greasy 4-leg parlay. And then we can talk some fights in the chat here. So thank you guys for hanging out. If you want to support my work, you can go to oddshopper.com and you can find my probability stats and content package that has individual fighter stats, matchup stats, over-under betting models, prop betting models, about 4 hours of content for that you don't see on YouTube, which includes my full card breakdown show and my plus EV prop betting show. You can get my fight write-ups, all my track bets, all that for $25 a month. Oddshopper.com, Uncle Weezy. Check out that package. That's the best way to support my work. But if you can't do that, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and leave me a comment down below. First fight of the night that we're going to talk about. This was a fight that it just doesn't need to happen, and I don't know why it's being made. Or this is, one of the reasons that we have a fucking commission, right? Because this is the UFC, and it's supposed to be the premier mixed martial arts organization in the world. This card already had 11 fights on it. So why on Wednesday night are you signing the third consecutive opponent over the last 48 hours to fight Jackson McVeigh, a guy that should never have been signed to the organization in the first place? So here we've got Jackson McVeigh, Zach Reese. I don't even know what the line is. Don't care. Not making a pick on the fight. Good luck with betting this one if you're betting it. And my suggestion would be not to bet it because it's not a real fight. Real professional fighters don't take fights on 48 hours notice. So, okay, next fight, a real fight. We've got Daniel Marcos versus Miles Johns. We got Marcos is a we got Johns plus 160 underdog, Marcos the minus 185 favorite. And the fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at plus 215. So I'm going with Daniel Marcos by decision here. Miles Johns is a very defensively sound fighter, and he works with the style that works really well for him. He's a counterpuncher. He throws 100% power into everything that he throws. He's got good offensive and defensive wrestling, and he's got good defensive instincts wherever the fight goes. So he does a pretty good job of kind of like figuring out whether he needs to wrestle or whether he needs to strike, and then working around that game plan by slowing down the offensive output of his opponents, by constantly countering and really looking to take your head off every time you throw at him. So you don't really get anything for free against Miles Johns. Anytime you go offensively, you're going to have something coming back at you. It's difficult to take him down, and he will try to take you down. So Marcos is somebody that is going to be throwing more volume here. He's got the better long-range weapons, and I believe that he's a little bit better in the clinch. So I think that he's going to have the better tools to be able to win this fight's minutes and bank the rounds. John's fairly durable guy. Marcos, very durable guy, never been finished. So I do think the most likely path is by decision because Daniel Marcos hasn't really been close to finishing anybody yet at this level other than, I believe, Simon Oliveira. So Daniel Marcos by decision is the pick for that fight. Next one, we got Tisha Pennington versus Denise Gomez. Gomez sitting at minus 180, Pennington at plus 155. Fight doesn't go, plus 250. This is like a coin flip for me. I think that either fighter can win here. Tisha Pennington, clearly the more well-rounded fighter, the more experienced fighter, the better strength of schedule, while Denise Gomez, the much younger fighter, almost 10 years younger than Tisha. And she hits a lot harder, and she's very physical. And Tisha's one of the smaller fighters in the division, so physicality against Tisha is a good way to be able to, win some minutes against her, potentially in the clinch, potentially by landing the harder strikes at distance striking range. So I think that Gomez probably does a little bit more to catch the eyes of the judges and winds up winning this fight by decision. Tisha Pennington has fought basically every tough fighter that this division has ever had. She's never been finished as a professional, and she's not really much of a finisher in her own right. So this fight probably goes to decision. It probably plays out pretty close. I think the Pennington money line is fine at this current price of plus 155. That's the money line side, in my opinion. And then I think this fight does go to decision. I'm going with Gomez by winning the bigger minutes or moments, I should say. But I think that it's going to play out very, very close. Josh Hokett versus Max Jimenez. Hokett minus 400, Jimenez plus 300. Fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 500 here. How Max Jimenez got signed to the UFC, I really don't know. What has this guy done for the UFC brass to say, I have to have this guy? Literally no footage available of this guy in a professional mixed martial arts fight, unless you're watching something that was filmed from somebody's phone from the fucking balcony of a place where they were filming the Jumbotron where he was fighting at. The people who have actually watched that footage have said what I assumed to be true, was that the guy's not a real fighter. He sucks at MMA. He's got terrible conditioning. He doesn't like to get hit, and he can't wrestle. So Josh Hokett is an actual athlete and an actual fighter. He can wrestle. He's got a Division 1A wrestling background, Division 1A football player, well over 1,000 yards rushing at Fresno State, double-digit touchdowns, played in the NFL for the San Francisco 49ers. So, you know, Hokett is not just somebody who trains at Jackson Wink and lives there and lives this sport every single day. He's a guy who's actually fought people with a pulse on the regional scene. He's been in Bellator. He's been in LFA. He's not fighting in something called Shogun fights against nobodies. And Max Jimenez lost to a guy that's got a 3-4 record, and that dude finished him. And there's another guy that he beat that's got 16 losses and has been finished in 10 of those losses, and Max Jimenez couldn't finish that guy. So not only do I think that Hokett's going to beat this dude, I think he's going to run through him. I think he's going to run this dude into a dick saw, and I think he's going to make it look pretty easy. So Josh Hokett, first-round KO, is the pick right there. Mayra Bueno Silva versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. This move has moved a little bit. I've got to play on Mayra Bueno Silva at plus 225. I've got to play on her submission prop at plus 900. One of the most important things that you can do to handicap a fight to determine value on a money line is just look at where these ladies have been priced in the past and against who. And you look at somebody like Mayra Bueno Silva. She's been fighting about 4 or 5 rungs up the ladder from the ladies that Cavalcanti's been fighting. And this line just makes absolutely no sense. A lot of this fight is going to take place in the clinch, you guys. And Mayra Bueno Silva is going to close distance. She's not just going to stay at distance striking range with this woman. And Cavalcanti hasn't really shown any power yet. She's fighting nobodies. She can't get Josiane Nunez out of there. I mean, Priscilla Cachoeira, who's a flyweight, knocked out Josiane Nunez in like 30 seconds, just fucking starched her. She couldn't finish Zara Farron, who's terrible, 0-4 in the UFC. So while Jacqueline Cavalcanti is clearly the better striker, she's the cleaner striker, she's faster, she hits harder, and she's got better footwork, and she's just better technically, better defensively, absolutely. I don't think that a lot of this fight is going to take place at distance striking range. And I don't like what I've seen from Cavalcanti when fighters have been smart enough to actually grapple her. It's something that we haven't seen her deal with yet at this level, and which is bizarre because for 2 reasons. Number one, you'd be fucking stupid just to sit there and strike with Cavalcanti. You're not going to win like that. And second of all, it looks like the ladies that she's been fighting are so bad that they don't even have the ability to go to the grappling. But Mayra at plus 200 here, this line is just wrong. I mean, if Cavalcanti is fighting at looking like minus 150 at best against nobodies that are no longer even with the organization, how is she going to look minus 300 against Mayra Bueno Silva? So, yeah, I like Mayra Bueno Silva by decision. I like Mayra Bueno Silva by submission. I like the Mayra Bueno Silva money line. And I think there could potentially be some value on the unders here. I don't like this spot for Cavalcanti. But if she does step up and show a great performance here, you know, that'll be an eye-opener for me because this is a lot better fighter than anybody that she's beaten so far. And even Nora Cornhole, if Cornhole would have wrestled her, she could have easily won that fight. She easily won the first round against Jackie and was able to grapple her in that first round. And then she got a takedown with like 5 seconds left in the fight in the third round. And I was like, where the fuck was that? And even DC was like, if she would have done this earlier, she could have easily won this fight. So, yeah, I think Mayra Bueno Silva is going to get the clinch game going, the grappling game going, and I think she's going to get her hand raised here. Ricky Simon, Hani Barcelos. I'm just worried that it's getting near the end of the line for Hani. He looks old. You know, his shoulders popping out in fights. He just looks like he's getting near the end of the line. And one of the things that Hani has been able to do when he's in a tough fight is really kind of lean on that wrestling. Be able to kind of take the fight to the grappling arena when he needs to. And that's not going to really be available against Simon. Simon's a very good offensive and defensive wrestler, and he can kind of just put you in spots and keep you there. So I think that Simon is going to be able to hold up with the grappling of Hani, but he hits hard, and he's been hitting really hard lately, and I think that he's got a chance to knock out Hani Barcelos here. I'm picking Hickey Simon to win this fight by KO in round 2. I think that Hani at plus 145 isn't necessarily a bad play. I don't mind it because sometimes Ricky can kind of keep fights really close. But I think he's going to be the one hitting harder on the feet. And I think he's probably going to be the better offensive and defensive wrestler in this matchup. And because of that, I think he's going to maybe be able to find a big overhand right in close that maybe gets Hani Barcelos out of there. And if there's a lot of grappling here, I could also see Barcelos' shoulder popping out like it did in the Quinones fight. And if that happens, Hani or Ricky's going to be good enough to finish him. So I like Ricky. I like Ricky inside the distance at plus 335, and I think the KO prop is pretty juicy at better than plus 400. Next fight is going to be Haider Emil versus Jamal Emmers. Can't wait for this fight. Literally have no idea who's going to win this fight. I'm picking Emil KO 1. I think that this fight ends in under 1.5 rounds. And I think fight doesn't start round 2 is probably the best look because Haider Emil is somebody that doesn't really work into the fight. He just comes out there and he's going to get in your face and he's going to make you work. He's going to put you on that back foot. And I think he's got kind of a good style for somebody like Emmers, who is tall and long for the division. Emmers is going to look really good when he has that space to work. But Emil is going to close that space. He's always on the front foot. He's always moving forward. He's always throwing offense. And he's always making his opponents defend, whether they're defending strikes, whether they're trying to get out of the clinch, whether they're defending takedowns, whether they're trying to get back up when they do get taken down. Haider Emil is just constant offense. And what we've seen from Emmers lately is this guy was going to decision in all of his UFC fights. And then the last 3 fights, we've seen him kind of just start out a lot faster. And we know that he's started fast in his last 3 fights. There's no option to start slow against Haider Emil. So my favorite play for this fight is just the under 1.5 rounds. I think the style with which Haider Emil fights is going to bring early violence to this one. And I think somebody's going to get served and knocked out. Haider Emil, it could be him because he's not very good defensively. It's hard to be good defensively when you are on the front foot as much as Haider is and when you're throwing as much offense. And for Emmers, Emmers has always had really good conditioning, really good wrestling. So I think that maybe he can find some places to breathe in this fight if he's able to get a takedown and consolidate top control. But that's a tough thing to do against Haider Emil. We've seen him in a couple of his regional scene fights on Dana White's Contender Series against Sanmez, on the regional scene against Devontae the Grinder Sewell. We've seen this guy deal with heavy offensive wrestling attacks and deal well with it. So cannot wait for this fight. Haider Emil always is in fun fights. One of my favorite fighters in the featherweight division. And I'm picking him to win this one by round 1 KO, but I think it's a great test. I think it's great matchmaking. And I think it's going to be a violent fight where somebody gets served early. The next one is another great fight. 2 really high upside middleweight prospects here with Christian Leroy Duncan and Marco Tulio. I'm going with Tulio by decision. I think that this is going to be the moments of Duncan versus the minutes of Tulio. Tulio just does a really good job of having a well-rounded skill set. This guy can win minutes at distance striking range with his volume and his power. He can win minutes in the clinch with his dirty boxing and Muay Thai. He can win minutes with grappling, getting takedowns, getting on top, landing ground and pound, looking to get to dominant positions, looking to finish with submissions. Marco can do it all, man. He's got great conditioning, great output, a well-rounded skill set, and the good fight IQ to know when to take what fight where. Christian Leroy Duncan, plenty of pro fights. I think over 20 amateur fights. He's never been finished. And Duncan's a shitty minute winner because he really does just kind of throw a bunch of low percentage attacks, bunch of spinning elbows, spinning hook kicks, spinning kicks to the body, jumping knees, all this kind of shit that just, I mean, it's not going to hit very often, especially when you're fighting good fighters. And because of that, he's not good at really winning minutes and banking rounds. He's in a lot of close fights against guys that he shouldn't be in close fights against. And it's because he doesn't really have any process to his game. He doesn't really know how to win minutes and bank rounds. And it's because he's just looking to knock you out. So I kind of feel like this is going to be Tulio by decision or Duncan by knockout. I'm going with Tulio by decision because Duncan is kind of low percentage. And because when he has fought better fighters, we just haven't seen him finding those big shots because those good fighters don't get caught by spinning hook kicks and shit like that. So I think Tulio gets the job done here. And I think by far his most likely path to victory here is going to be the decision because Christian Leroy Duncan is extremely durable. So Marco Tulio by decision is the pick for that one. Next one, Chris Taco Padilla plus 175, Ismael Bonfim minus 205. Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at minus 115. Kind of like the unders here, like the fight doesn't go. I'm picking Bonfim by decision. I don't know if Chris Padilla's got the necessary wrestling or grappling to find a submission here, and I don't know that he's going to find moments on the feet against a pretty good striker in Ismael Bonfim. But I want to be clear. I think Bonfim at minus 205 is just a terrible bet. I don't think this. I don't like this guy at all. I think he's so overhyped. I don't think he's really lived up to the money lines that we've seen him priced at. I mean, like they priced this guy as like a minus 250 favorite over Benoit Saint Denis. This guy was minus 200 against Nazim Sadikov, and he's just got a ton of quit in him. He's been finished in all 5 of his fights. If things aren't going his way, he will look for the door. And you do not want to be laying minus 200 on a minute winner that's a good hammer and a bad nail. If you're a bad nail, then you're just sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for that one strike to land that can change the fight. I mean, that fight, that shot that made Bonfim quit, he got hit with that with a minute left in the round. So he got to recover for a full minute while the round was happening. And then another minute, while he's sitting on the stool. Then they bring the doctor in there and they're asking him, can you see? And he's like, no. And then they confirm, hey, we want to confirm that you just said you can't see. And he's like, yes, I just said I can't see. Like, he's like, I'm done. I'm out of here. And it was a legal strike. So he quit, and I just don't want to fucking lay minus 205 on a minute winning quitter who's got very overrated boxing. Like this guy, people talk about this guy. Oh, he's got phenomenal boxing. What? He fucking wings everything. He throws 100% into every punch, and he doesn't do anything but throw like 3 hook combos. I don't know, man. I don't get it. But I'm not phenomenally impressed with Padilla's skill set either. I think he was losing to Rongju before he hit that one really good elbow. And I don't know if his wrestling and grappling is good enough to dominate, to win enough minutes to make Ismael really uncomfortable there. But yeah, I think the Padilla money line is the side in this fight at plus 175. The official prediction is going to be Ismael Bonfim, though, to win by decision. Next one, we got Muslim Salikov versus Earl Smetic. Another fight where I just like the under here. Both of these guys have big power. Both of these guys do not have reliable chins. Earl Smetic has never seen the scorecards as a professional, and Muslim Salikov's fights have been ending in the first round. 3 of his last 4 fights, I believe, have finished in the first round, whether it's him getting knocked out or whether he winds up knocking somebody out. So coming off a clean knockout over Carlos Leal, 1-punch walk-off. And then before that, he got a spinning old kick knockout over Song Kanan. Before that, we saw him knocked out a couple fights before that by Randy Brown by a straight right hand. And Earl Smetic has got sick power. This guy's got really, really heavy hands. And if he lands clean, it's nighty-night. Keep your butthole tight. But Earl Smetic is a lot younger. He's got the measurables advantages here. I think the career trajectory is probably a little bit better for this at this point for Medic. So I don't think he should be minus 164 here. I think probably if I were to bet a money line side, it would be the Salikov side. But I think the under 1.5 rounds is probably the way to play this fight. I think it hits at a pretty high clip because neither one of these guys has got a ton of power. Neither one of these guys really grapples offensively, and they both have got unreliable chins. So I think somebody gets knocked out early here, and it's really hard to predict that when both guys are powerful. So Medic KO1 is the pick, but the under 1.5 would be the favorite bet. Co-main event, we got Matt Danger Schnell at plus 315. Joseph Morales minus 415. Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at minus 220. Going with Joseph Morales, I've been really impressed what I've been seeing from this guy. A little bit of power in the hands. He's fast. He's still only 31 years old. A lot of pro experience and a lot of inactivity. So there's not a ton of miles on the engine here for Morales. I like the grappling from this guy. The wrestling is good. He gets to the back. He can finish from his back. He can finish from the top. And he's aggressive in all the areas, in scrambles, in the clinch, at distance striking range. And Matt Schnell has been finishing all 7 of his losses. And he just doesn't react to punches well. So I think Morales inside the distance is a good play this week. He should be able to win this fight. I think he dealt with a much tougher prospect in his last fight in Alibi Idris. And his 2 fights inside the house against Chapelin and Imanol Rodriguez, those are impressive wins. I mean, the Rodriguez fight was very close, but Imanol Rodriguez would run through Matt Schnell, the 2025 version of Matt Schnell. So, yeah, Danger Schnell is probably going to get served here. I think we're going to call the second round double tap. Morales is going to win by submission, but I think there's some value in the KO prop and definitely the inside the distance prop. And then the main event of the evening, Gabriel Bonfim minus 182, Randy Rude Boy Brown plus 157. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 285. I wish I had faith in Randy Brown's grappling defense, but I just don't. I think that Bonfim's going to get a takedown. And when he does, he's just so opportunistic. You know, he can finish with the Von Flue choke. He can finish with a ninja choke or a guillotine. He can get arm bars from guard. He can get arm triangles. He can get you with so many different submissions, but what he really just does really well is just in a scramble, he'll just lock up that guillotine. And if he gets that arm underneath your neck, you're going out. So Randy Brown, I just don't like the takedown defense. He's got that Phil Rowe takedown defense that he's so confident in his striking that he stands straight up, and he's too tall and not athletic enough to like, if somebody gets in on his hips, to do anything about it. I mean, he's getting taken down 5 times by the ghost of Elizu Zaleski Dos Santos, and he had Dos Santos on his back for most of the second round. I think if he makes those kind of mistakes against Gabriel Bonfim, he's getting submitted. So I like Gabriel Bonfim by submission. The minus 182 money line, I'd rather play his submission prop. I think that's how he wins this fight. And I think there's a big enough difference between the two that you can reduce your exposure, get your payoff up by going for what I think is the most likely path here, because Gabriel's not a great minute winner. And the longer this fight goes, Randy Brown is a lot more experienced going to decision in his career than Gabriel Bonfim is. He's got the skill set that's a lot more tuned to win minutes in bank rounds, Randy Brown does, in my opinion. So Gabriel Bonfim, somebody who's not used to going late in fights, if he has to employ a wrestling-heavy game plan and he doesn't find that early submission, Randy Brown's going to start tagging him with some shit at distance striking range and potentially find a knockout of his own. So Bonfim by submission, Randy Brown by KO, the unders. I think all of those are good looks for this main event, but I'm going with Gabriel Bonfim because I worry about Randy Brown early in this fight getting his neck snatched up. All right, you guys. Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week. This week is going to be the Mayra Bueno Silva money line at plus 225. Jacqueline Cavalcante is just too expensive here. The market has overvalued her in previous fights. She's not living up to the money lines that she's being priced at against far inferior fighters in comparison to Mayra Bueno Silva. I think this is a good matchup for Mayra. She's the better grappler. She's more experienced. She's got the UFC strength of schedule advantage, a big submission grappling advantage here. And I think she's going to be the much more effective minute winner while this fight is in the clinch. And I think that is where she's going to make her money in this fight. So I'm going with the Mayra Bueno Silva money line for the Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week. And then who's going to win and win violently? Who's going to leave you saying that dude just got his ass shaved? Well, it is going to be the Incredible Hulk, Josh Hokett, to shave the fraudulent ass of Max Jimenez. How does Max Jimenez even get in the UFC? How do you go to Hunter Campbell and be like, wait until you see this 15-minute grappling match where nothing fucking happened? Try to stay awake watching Max Jimenez's grappling matches. In a completely different rule set, this guy looks completely uninterested and not dangerous. And Hokett is somebody I think that, love him or hate him, that this guy is going to have some eyes on him. And he's got real athleticism. He's got real wrestling. And he's got, with those two things in this heavyweight division, you can go a long way. You can be ranked within 3 or 4 fights. So I think that Josh is going to run through this dude. I don't know what Max Jimenez is doing here. I don't know how you get a UFC contract fighting in Shogun fights with no footage of your actual fights as a mixed martial artist. But here he is. And I think that maybe the reason that they brought this guy on was so that they could build up a couple of prospects, somebody like a Hokett, so and any of these other guys coming off the Contender Series who look like they can make a little bit of noise. You kind of want a bum that for them to run through because that's half the heavyweight division anyway. And I think that Hokett's going to run through this dude. So I like Hokett by KO this week. I like Hokett inside the distance. And your Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week is going to be Josh Hokett to shave the ass of Max Jimenez. All right, you guys, Greasy 4-leg parlay time. So leg number 1 is going to be the over 2.5 rounds in the Tisha Pennington versus Denise Gomez fight. Tisha notoriously durable, and Gomez probably going to keep this fight pretty close. So I'm looking for the over 2.5 rounds, which is sitting at minus 435. That is going to be the first leg of the parlay. The second leg is going to be Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week to win via ass shaving. We are going with Josh Hokett to win this fight inside the distance against Max Jimenez. And Josh Hokett to win by finish is minus 230. That brings this 2-leg parlay up to a very exciting minus 130. Leg number 3. This is the grease. This is where we get our payout way up. I'm relying on the phenomenal conditioning, output, and well-rounded skill set of Marco Tulio, and I am simultaneously depending on the great athleticism, conditioning, and durability of one Christian Leroy Duncan to last the full 3 rounds against Marco Tulio and miss on 15 consecutive spinning hook kick hook kick attempts that would have knocked him out if they had landed, but they didn't. So Marco Tulio, by decision at plus 200, is going to fatten up the payout of this parlay and take us up to plus 431 for this 3-leg parlay. And then leg number 4, it's got to be Joseph Morales to win inside the distance. I mean, this line is getting steamed. And now that the FBI is watching abnormal betting patterns, it would be a shame if Matt Schnell fucking won this fight by some kind of bullshit while the whole world is watching. So I think that this is one where they might not be able to fix it. They might not be able to save Matt Schnell from not getting finished here. And I'm looking for Joseph Morales to win this one inside the distance. That is a minus 129 line on BetRivers Sportsbook. That brings this 4-leg parlay up to plus 846 on BetRivers Sportsbook here. Let's cash this thing, make it 2 out of the last 6. We were looking good last week. We hit leg 1. We hit leg 2. Leg 3 was Isaac Dulgarian. So that didn't work out well. And yeah, I wonder what Isaac Dulgarian's future is, because that was pretty blatant. What happened on Saturday was pretty blatant with Isaac. The fact that the worst bet that you could have made pre-flop before those fights started is, you know, like, if the shittiest bet you could have made was Yadier Del Valle round 1. So, you know, with now you see people making that bet, making it extremely confidently. That was what caused me to send out that one tweet saying, "Here we go again." The most viewed tweet that I've ever sent out on Twitter over the last 4 years. So, we had that fixed fight, and then we had the commission fix the Waldo Cortez Acosta Anti-Delia fight by creating another adrenaline dump and stopping the fight fraudulently because of an eye poke. Really crazy stuff, you know, and like those were the last 2 legs. Was Dulgarian's money line and the over 2.5 in the Waldo Cortez Acosta fight. So we were on our way to cashing, but then not one fixed fight, but 2 of them wound up happening, and we didn't wind up cashing that parlay. So hopefully, you know, now that we've had this light brought to the criminality that goes on behind the scenes in this sport, and if we're to believe some of these things that are being reported, which they may be true, they may not be true. There's no way to know at this point. But hopefully, if we do get some kind of a task force looking into referees, judges, managers, people within the organization and people within the commission, that I think is where we're going to find where we can really clean up the sport, because that's the kind of corruption that's been happening every week. You know, it's not a fighter throwing a fight, you know, in a blatant way where the markets know it's coming, and then you can watch the fight and know that it was blatantly fixed. That's happened twice that we've known of, you know, with Derek Minner 3 years ago, and now with Isaac Dulgarian last week. But now, you know, over the last 6 weeks, we could take 4 different situations where referees started back up fights that should have been over and no contests. Jake Matthews versus Neil Magny. Alvarez versus Luque. Anti-Delia versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. And then there was one the week before that I'm forgetting right now because it's just happened so many goddamn times. You know, and then there's like judges fixing the Jared Gordon versus Patty Pimblett fight. There's the commission not stopping Lucas Almeida from fighting with a broken hand. You know, just over the last 2 months, we can name 7 or 8 things that commissions have done to deliberately alter the result of a fight and get the result that, it was the Kevin Holland versus Mike Mallet fight. That fight was a no contest in any way you slice it, and somehow it went the full 3 rounds. Absolutely crazy. And usually you'll find it when the markets hang a ridiculously priced under, like it should be minus 150. They price it at plus 200. It gets steamed. All the money comes in. Of course, everybody bets it because it's called a trap line for a reason. And then the commission comes in and they refuse to stop a fight that should be stopped. So yeah, we're going to see going forward, if we start to get less of these incidents where commissions are trying to step in and alter the results of fights, And I mean, obviously at this point, when people see what, happens to Isaac Dulgarian, that guy's going to barely even be able to show his face in public for the next 5 years. So, hopefully this integrity problem that clearly exists right now between the UFC, the commissions that are in charge of regulating their fights, and these underpaid fighters, where the temptation is there. If you're making $12,000, twice a year to show up and lose, and somebody fucking comes and offers you $70K, that's going to be something that a lot of people it's going to make financial sense to make that decision, especially if you're 0-3, you got one fight left on your contract and they're fucking got you out there against the killer, that you're probably going to lose. Maybe you will take that fucking money to take that dive when and in the way that they want you to take it. So we're going to see where this goes from here. It's a very interesting story. I can't wait to see where we go now that this has been brought to light. But let's talk about it. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. We got my guy Olajuwon Dream saying, "Oi, what is up, dude?" Forrest is saying, "Oi, Uncle Weezy, can you kick off the chat with one of your killer stories?" I don't think I have any in the chamber right now. I was just looking at some old pictures. One of my my last dog before the one that tried to kill my girlfriend, Bootsy, the Rottweiler. One time, my girlfriend went out in the morning to take out the garbage. And when she went out to the backyard to do that, she left the door open. And Bootsy walked out behind her and then was kind of like went off somewhere to sniff something. Sonny, didn't realize that the dog had walked out. She walked back in the house and locked the door. So our dog was locked out in the backyard. And he's like, fuck, I'm stuck, So he's walking around. The person who owns the house that I live in is in a glass factory right behind us. And a couple people from the factory saw Bootsy out there and they're like, oh shit, what's he doing out there? Well, Bootsy came back around the front of the house and he sat in front of our house. And then some girl was walking by who lives a couple doors down. And when he saw her coming, he made eye contact with her standing in front of the house. And when she came up to him, he went up the stairs and looked in the house and communicated to her somehow without talking, "I live here and I've been locked out. You gotta talk to these people." So I'm still in bed. It's like 8:45 in the morning and our doorbell rings and I hear the doorbell. Like, who the hell is ringing our doorbell? It was this lady. She goes, "Is this your dog?" And I'm in bed and my girlfriend is up front. She's like, "Yeah, that's our dog." Like, how did you know? She's like, "He got my attention out front. He walked right up here and he's like telling me to ring your doorbell, saying that he got locked out." So my dog somehow figured out how to get somebody to let him back in his own house after he got locked out. Pretty wild shit. I miss my Bootsy. Might be time to get another dog here, man, because Bootsy was the best dog ever. And pipe up that like button and subscribe, you filthy animal, says my guy Dan Forrest. We got DXRHW in the room saying, "Oh, yas, ready to go. Finally can catch it live." Saying, "Prophet Weezy, the most unk. Zachariah versus Jesu. Only your word can me all my units away from it." I don't know what that is. I don't know what Zachariah versus Jesu is. Is that boxing? We've been waiting for Chicago's finest. Would like a nice parlay to hit. Yeah, me too. Plus 846 is what we're going with this week, JWB, and let's hope that we hit it. I'm a bit too old to call you Uncle Weezy. Can I just call you Weezy? Yeah, you can, because that's what all my friends call me. They just call me Weezy. If Weezy doesn't have on Grandpa's jacket, I'm out. After that, we've all been through. We need that jacket on tonight. I've got a pretty sweet shirt on here, but the jacket is over here behind me on the door of my office. So I'm going to keep it off tonight, man. Let's all band together and get Thursday night football canceled. These games are awful. JWB, yes, he also goes by the Wheeze, his wheeziness, or El Weezerino, if you're into the whole brevity thing. Yes, Joseph, good to see you hanging out in here. Dixon saying, "Prophet, there's rumors around that the FBI, in the scope of the Dulgarian investigations, they're going to interview many YouTube betting personalities Don't let them cavity search you, Unc. Don't worry about it, man. I don't answer questions from authorities. Tyler Ray is in the room saying, why so late in the evening? I have to work in the morning. My bad, man. I wanted to get it out of the way so I could actually have a day off tomorrow. J-Mo is in the room saying, it's the Greasy. What is up, J-Mo? We got Joseph Gasparian saying, my lock parlay this week. Joseph Morales and the under 1.5 in Reese versus McVay. Yeah, I think that probably hits, my man. We got NFL Draft Pulse in the room saying, oh, and the same thing for DGen for life. B-Negs is in the room saying hard to pick fights when they're fixed. It does make it a little bit more difficult. I got the Bulgarian fight wrong, you guys. I got the Anti-Delia fight wrong. I could have sworn that my reads were pretty good on that one, but what are you going to do? Mitchell in the room saying, my Uncle Weezy showing up early this week. Let's go. Always appreciate your breakdowns and your weekly routine. Thank you for hanging out, Mitch. We got Paku in the room saying, oh, what's up, dude? We got Tyler Ray saying, it's the Xmas season. Sigma Chi, Weezy, let's do this. What is up? Yes, free. Good to see you hanging out in here. DGen for life saying best intro song out of all the YouTube cappers for sure. Shout out to my guy Matt from the Golden Octagon YouTube channel who put that together for me. I absolutely love it. B-Neg saying Uncle Weezy called the abnormal betting last week. So did DFS by the numbers. Yeah, man. Well, we were told from people within our Discords like, hey, I'm hearing some shit's fucking going wrong sideways with this Bulgarian fight. And like all I needed to see was people betting on Yadier Del Valle round 1. Like I say, if you bet Yadier Del Valle round 1 on Thursday before there were any indications that this was a fixed fight, you're fucking retarded. I mean, there's no shittier bet that you could have made pre-flop, not knowing the fight was fixed, than Yadier Del Valle round 1 against Isaac Dulgarian. It's like picking someone to beat Hamzat in round 1. It's not going to fucking happen. So that as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh, really? People are steaming Yadier Del Valle round 1." I mean, like I just saw Derek Minner's face in my head. I was like, I immediately knew that my Isaac Dulgarian bets were dead in the water, and that Yadier Del Valle was going to win that fight, and not just win it in round 1. Fucking wild. And then to watch him absolutely tank that takedown attempt, get in fully on the hips, and then like some freshman in his first wrestling practice, just stop running your legs. Holy shit. Azuro saying, all right, time to get it back with a vengeance. Let's go. We got Greasy like pepperoni, says Tyler. We got Oi showing up early this week. Let's get it. We got Deep Insider saying my favorite journalist, Uncle Weezy. Yeah, man, I'm not even a journalist, man. Unbelievable. Our guy Barry McCockner hanging out. We got Joseph Gasparian saying, the Delia Costa sort of makes sense. Yeah, it does. Should have just been timeout instead of waved off. Ref error. No, actually it shouldn't, because if you stop the fight, it's over. And then it's a no contest. It's referee error, yes, but the referee fucked up so bad that he didn't call the eye poke when it happened. And as a result, Anti-Delia goes off and he goes to finish the fight. And he empties the gas tank as he throws a 30-punch combination that forces the ref to stop the fight. It's a no contest. These guys are both in Vegas. They could have booked the fight the very next week. It's not okay that they restarted it. It's against the unified rules of MMA, and that's the only purpose of the commission, to fighter safety and to uphold those rules. And they did both, and they fucked both of them up, because they made a guy with one eye go back out there and fight again, and they made another guy who thought he just won the fight go back out there and fight after a 6-minute adrenaline dump. It's not okay. It's total fucking bullshit, and it's against the rules. So it's a fixed fight. It was a blatant eye poke. Ref made the right call. No, he didn't. The ref missed the fucking call and then had to be told by the replay official after the fight was already over that he missed the call. You don't make the right call when you miss the call. This is not rocket science. Fucking even Herzog knows. He says that he's innocent, you know, and of course he is. Of course, there's no improprieties with Jason Herzog. I don't know. Well, I mean, like, that's the thing, you know, like that. When you listen to Dana White's interview, you know, he's putting it all at the feet of Bulgarian, which is such a cop-out and such bullshit. The UFC, it's on the commission to be like, look, this fight isn't fucking happening. You know, they're saying that they're getting calls. They see the abnormal betting activity. And then what do? They do the only thing that you know could not possibly give you the right answer. You're going to go and ask the guy that's fixing the fight if he's fixing the fight? What? No. Who gives a fuck what Isaac Bulgarian says? He's not going to tell you that he's fixing the fight. That's fucking fraud. That's racketeering. So he's not going to admit to the crime. And that's what they said. They said that the reason that they let it go is because the guy who fixed the fight assured them that I'm not going to fix the fight. What? This is on the UFC. I mean, like, Dana White trying to pass the buck like it wasn't on them to fix a fight that clearly, by the betting patterns, was fixed. How come all of us cappers got out of our Bulgarian positions? How did we know that it was fixed hours before the fight started? Do you think I would have tweeted out, "Here we go again," with a line with a graph of the round one prop for Del Valle if I didn't know that fight was absolutely fixed? And if I know it and Dana White doesn't, if I would have handled it better than Dana White, that's a problem, man. That's a problem, because this guy's been running the organization for over a decade. Can't believe you aren't watching Fusion MMA out of Lima, Peru right now. Dude, Fusion's a good little organization, man. They brought on some guys, man. Didn't our guy Jimmy Yontop, I believe, was a Fusion FC guy. We got Pro Schmo Bets, Uncle Weezy F, baby, the key to the ladies. What is up, dude? We got Daniel Forrest saying, I really feel that the UFC card this Saturday will be fair and go smooth, considering they're under a microscope with the FBI right now. And I couldn't agree more. I hope that's the case, but we'll see, man. The funniest thing about all of this is Jason Herzog getting rage baited on Twitter. Yeah, he is, man. Yeah, Harry Mack is saying some things that are very, very damning, and a lot of people are pissed off about it because, you know, he's just talking about the sources that he has, and a lot of people are like, well, you know, you can't just say that you have these sources and do it. But unfortunately, that's how journalism works. You know, when you got people telling you this is how it's going to be, well, then we're going to find out if the sources that he has are accurate or not. It's not about the money, says Tyler. Almeida cashed big money for he and his people when he decisioned Derek Lewis. Yeah, that's another very, very shady fucking fight. You know, that I think that if you were to give me subpoena powers, I could probably find some people that fucking profited from that. There's very little chance that this leads to any change except possibly another debacle with some governing body banning UFC betting. Yeah, that could potentially happen, but I think at this point, you know, it just depends if the information that we're hearing is correct. Here, let me show you what I retweeted earlier. Luca Fury, he tweeted out something that I retweeted. It came from the MMA Draw newsletter. And let me see this here. I'll share the screen again. And it says that the Bureau is moving in behind the scenes. Two sources confirm it. And then you just have to kind of take the word that these sources are accurate, and they may or may not be. So we don't know. But this is like, if I read something that was 3 short paragraphs like this, this is actually saying everything that I want to hear, everything that I want this organization to be is in this second area here, this area right here. Agents will now comb through every layer of the UFC ecosystem. Referees, judges, matchmakers, managers, to determine whether any non-fighter personnel may have benefited from manipulated outcomes. And that's, like I said, I'm not worried about fighters fixing fights. That happens once every 3 years or so. And when it happens, we pretty much know that it happened. It's pretty evident, when these guys aren't actually just fighting, when they're trying to fight to a script. That becomes a little bit evident at this level. So over the next 6 months, the Bureau will issue subpoenas for sportsbook data, commission correspondence, and UFC internal communications. Investigators will cross-reference referee assignments with line movements, studying whether officiating decisions consistently align with the betting anomalies. So in other words, it's saying like, if we see the public all on one side, a line opens up at minus 150 and goes to minus 400. And then at the end of that, you see some buyers come in on the other side. And then all of a sudden, it's not just that the fight goes over or that the other outcome happens. It's that, it's that there was some kind of chicanery in the fight that caused it to go over or under when it really should have went the other way. And then we're going to find out if that referee had anything to do with it. We're going to be looking at his emails. We're going to be tracking where they were, who they talked to, whether they've been getting any payouts and, that are suspicious or anything like that. And the only people that could really do that are people with badges and guns, because if they don't have that, these governmental organizations like the Nevada, Athletic Commission aren't going to answer your questions, because they are the government and they're just going to just hide behind their anonymity. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one does play out. And then I like the late show. I work late. Thanks for me, JWB. I'm glad you like it, man. Fighters get stipulated. For example, Bilal must not wrestle JM. Commissioners quid pro quo, the Gaylords and Sal D'Amato and Mike Bell. Management teams like Dominance and Iridium get told what's up. Fixed. Yep. Amanda Nunez, Juliana Pena. One was just as fixed as the Bulgarian fight. I at this point, I don't know, man. At this point, I'm pretty wide open to it, because it's just been so cartoonish lately that, you start to believe almost anything because they're not being honest with you. MMA Casual saying, "Oi, what's up? I like the late show because I had to work late. Works for me. I think the under is safe, probably in that McVeigh fight. Yeah, Reese has 1 round of cardio on a full camp. Uncle Weezy, you say real fighters don't take fights on 48 hours notice, but how quickly we forgot the great Dan 50K Ige taking a fight on hours notice versus Diego Lopez. Yeah, but my point is that he's taking that fight because they're trying to save a card, not because it's a real fight. It's just, let's just find somebody in there so that we can actually, on a pay-per-view card, not lose a major part of that pay-per-view card because we thought Brian Ortega was going to make 145 pounds. So nobody gave a shit about Diego Lopez versus Dan Ige. That was a fight that nobody really wanted to see. And what kind of a fight did it wind up being? Diego Lopez wins by decision. It's kind of like a ho-hum. It happens at 165 pounds when these guys are fucking featherweights. So my point is that these guys don't need to be making fights on 48 hours notice. And this isn't a pay-per-view card. Who cares if you lose Jackson McVeigh versus Robert Valentine? Nobody cares about either of these fighters. So I don't know why they feel like we have to make this fight. Let's call Zach Reese. Let's see if we can fucking take a catchweight fight on 48 hours notice. He probably won't even make 195, you guys. It's just fucking stupid. And then they're probably going to call this one off too. Tisha Gomez goes to decision as a lock, says Force Bet. UFC equals WWE. Well, that's the problem that they're going to have to deal with now, is that they've got a serious fucking integrity problem. And it's not just the UFC. It's the organization that regulates these fights. It's the commissions that are letting these things happen that are clearly looking like they're looking for manufactured outcomes. Weezy, you've been talking about the crooked judging, and we all kind of knew that was going on. Now Herzog is being looked at. This shit is a fix. I don't know if he's being looked at. There's no real evidence of that yet. But if this MMA Draw newsletter and these sources that are saying that the FBI's Sports Integrity Task Force is going to be looking into these fights, I think that there's going to be a lot of people at these commissions that are going to have a lot to hide. I don't know, bro. Gomez cracks. I don't know. We'll stop. Gomez cracks. You should go watch the Martina Jindrova fight and tell me if you think Gomez cracks, man. Oh, no, you're saying Gomez cracks. She hits hard. I thought you were saying like she cracks, like she could be finished. And no, Gomez is about as durable and has the heart the size of a truck. So, but yeah, Gomez does hit hard. Yes. But like I said, it's, like she's knocking out Elise Reed. She's knocking out Yasmin Jauregui. These ladies are notoriously not durable. So we'll see. There once my Richards wet. I don't know what that is. And Tisha's durable as fuck, but she's starting to show some chinks. She sort of got wobbled the last fight. We'll see how it goes, man. I like the under 1.5. UFC is digging Hokit, and this is a good setup fight for him. Yeah, I think that's why they signed Jimenez. I think he's going to be a nice stepping stone for a lot of these younger fighters. Smash the like and subscribe, says my guy Forrest. We got JWB saying Gomez versus Pennington split. Totally. Kyle Grease saying dick saw. Yeah, I mean, it's just to say that somebody's going to get served violently. Another way of saying that they're going to get their ass shaved. We got Tom Quit, says the Ant-Man channel, and we got Cyril Cheated, says Chamo. We got Hokit under 1.5 is free. I tend to agree, man. I tend to agree. All that said, Jimenez by KO. Good luck with that one, man. We got MB saying $1.99 donation. Ring a ding ding. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for keeping the lights on here. I hope all is well with you. We got Cavalcanti, not a finisher at all. -3 units on Bueno Silva finish only prop. I like it, dude. And is that the cheap shot chick? Cheap shot? What chick? No, I don't think Cavalcanti's a cheap shot artist. Myra Bueno Silva? Cheap shot? I don't know. Jesus fucking Christian Christ, says Tyler. We got Bueno Silva is just ass and has no fight IQ. She has takedowns in 2 fights. Well, Josh, she never attempted a takedown in her first 7 or 8 fights. But if you look at the recent fights, she's spending more than half of her time in control time positions. She's constantly pressuring forward. She's finding her way into the clinch, and she is attempting some takedowns now, but mostly she likes to get into that clinch where she's outlanding her opponents 140 to 100 in significant clinch strikes. We got this is Fox News. We got Cavalcanti with Home Reckon say that. Sure, but against who, says Josiane Nunez took Jacqueline down twice. Yeah, dude, and so did Nora Cornhole. She doesn't shoot takedowns, LOL, against anyone other than Rocky. Yeah, but like I said, dude, if you look at the recent fights on UFC stats, you'll see that there's big percentages of her fights that are taking place in control time positions over these last 4 fights. We got High Mark Water in the room. What is up, dude? We got, because of the matchups, bro, she wasn't taking Jazzy down. Yeah, well, that's true. She's not going to take that one. We got, this is clear striker versus grappler. We got Hiki versus Honey, says local man. Are we making out of the Apex this one? We're not. We're going to make it after that. Out of the Apex now. Barcelos Year of the Unk boost title run at 49 years old. Yeah, it could be, man. He's won, We got, hello, my name is Cash Patel. I believe you have some money for me. Mike Oakley, your name is not Cash Patel. I'm sorry to say. Shout out Sal D'Amato. Cliff's Emmer's better at everything, but Heider is Chad. Josh saying, think what you want, dude. She has takedowns in 2 of her 13 UFC fights, and that is true. Ismail ain't Gabriel. Taco is solid and technical. He will finish him late. Wrong who? We got Alaska Power. We got, thank you, Weezy, for being the first capper I've seen with the common sense not to take old-ass Vampire Salikov and old-ass Barcelos. That was really my, and I think that they're close fights, Josh. I really did have difficulty picking winners in those fights, but sometimes when you have those difficulties, you just say, okay, I'm going to go with the younger fighter. I'm going to go with the fighter that's closer to their athletic prime, the slightly better career trajectory. I think those are all important things in close fights to kind of side with fighter A, and in this case, fighter A being the younger fighter in Ricky Simon and obviously in Uros Medic. If Taco loses, the MMA community will shake out. He's been a popular dog this week for sure. Emmers Padilla, Hokut Salahov is a winner, says my guy 300 Adam B. What is up, Adam? We got Iceland Farts in the room saying, Hokut is from Bakersfield, California. No way he loses. Oh, Bakersfield, huh? Isn't that where the new metal band Taint was from? Weren't they one of Matt Pinfield, I think, called them one of Bakersfield, California's top 5 new metal bands? Taint, shout out Taint. They lost like 3 of their members to Jack Hangs, if I remember correctly. But yeah, good to see Baker's California being brought up in the room here. Click the like button, says my guy. Yes, freak. We got Josh saying, thanks for your hard work this Weezy. Good luck this week, everyone. Same to you, my man, Josh. Let's get this money, dude. We got Iceland saying, oh, yeah, no way that parlay loses. You're golden. Start waiting in line to cash that ticket. You're golden. Appreciate you, man. We got Action Jackson saying, oh, what is up, dude? And Iceland saying, Uncle Weezy, if you're on the last leg, do you hedge for a profit and let it ride? Definitely depends on what I'm thinking. And it definitely depends on what else I have going that day. Like a lot of times, if I have a couple of parlays going, I'll do what I call the tits up parlay. Like, let's say I've got a 2-legger and a 2-legger, right? And the first leg of both parlays has cashed. I can parlay the opposite of the other 2 legs so that if both legs don't cash, I'll get a small parlay that'll like maybe cover my cost. So like, let's say, you know, like the last 2 legs are like fight doesn't go to decision in the main event and Morales inside the distance in the co-main. Well, then what I would do is I would just do something like Morales by decision, or maybe the fight goes to decision, parlayed with the fight goes to decision in the main event. And that would give you a big number. So you could put like a quarter unit on it. And then that way, if both parlays wind up going tits up on the last leg, you can still get the money back. So sometimes it just depends on what's available left on my betting card. Future sequences saying W show, appreciate you, my man. Bean Egg saying Dan Mergliana in Canada as well, a blatantly altered outcome. Yeah, man, absolutely, dude. And they let him ref 2 more fights after that fight. He was back in there. Incredible. And yeah, my guy, the Hood Wolf, is in the room saying, yeah, don't forget Deaf Big Dan, that's for sure. Employing deaf referees so they can't hear the bell at the end of rounds. He stopped the fight early or late at least 3 times in the last 3 months, and he's absolutely right. And just in case I don't see you again before the weekend, I just wanted to say thank you for the friendship over the years. It's the best gift I could have asked for my birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Dixon Cider. November 7th. We're gonna have a birthday party for our guy Dixon. And MMA Casual saying I was there live for the Kyle Nelson fight. Got up to go to the washroom right when it stopped. I got out and I was like, what the fuck? The fight is still going on. He clearly stopped it 3 seconds before. And like, my point is like, what is the commission doing? Like, how can the referee even be allowed to start the fight up? You know, like, why isn't there somebody like cage side who says, no, stop. The fight's over. You stopped the fucking fight with 3 seconds left in the first round. You should have stopped it with 8 seconds left in the first round because the guy was getting his head pounded through the fucking canvas. So what is the commission doing if they're letting that fight go on? Do you guys remember? I think it was Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Silvana Gomez Juarez, where they bring in the fucking scorecards and then some dude grabs it out of the fucking announcer's hand and starts writing in new scores, and it winds up being a split decision in a fight where it was pretty clearly Kovalevich 3 rounds to nothing. You remember that? I mean, it's just fucking crazy. Matt Frivola is another one. Is Bootsy the dog that bit your girlfriend? No. That was the shelter dog that we got after Bootsy passed away. We got the Hood Wolf saying, Weezy, don't talk to police. My goons got your back if you ever end up in the can, my man. The best thing that you can ever say to any police officer or FBI agent that is asking you questions is, I don't answer questions. And if they ask you why, you just say, I don't work for free. It costs $5,000 for me to answer one question, $5,000 per question, and I am not guaranteeing the authenticity of my answers. Watch how quick they stop asking you questions. Weezy, I think I'm going to play this parlay, but I'm going to replace the Tulio decision with Medic Salikov. Fight won't start round 3. Thoughts? I like it because that is a leg of another parlay that I have. I have the under 1.5 in my probability parlay this week. We got my guy Damare, one of the members of the Odds Shopper probability stats and content package, saying the stats packages are worth every bit of the $25 a month for Odds Shopper, let alone the 2 shows a week as a bonus. I cashed Bulgarian under 2.5, Acosta under 2.5, and Amarim fight goes to decision last week with it. Appreciate you, Damare. You hit a couple of great bets that I didn't hit. That's for sure, man. And I appreciate the shout out of the Odds Shopper package. And I appreciate you being a part of it, my man. We got my bad on poor attempt at comedy. I meant Zach Reese versus McVeigh. Very Jesus-like looking in Tapology. I think Reese is just so much better everywhere. Yeah, but you can't lay minus 300 on somebody that's taking a fight on 48 hours notice. It's just he was not able to prepare for the fight, which is why I'd say it's like a fake fight. It really is. This is the premier mixed martial arts organization in the world. They should not be fucking trying to get guys to take fights on 48 hours notice, unless it's something where, like, you know, you're trying to save the fucking card. That's why they brought in Dan Ige on 1 day's notice to fight, or on same day's notice to fight Lopez. It was because they lost a major pay-per-view fight that night. Nobody cares that this fight's not happening. So yeah, this is wild. Del Valle is good BJJ though, and with all the takedowns coming, he had a chance to throw up something. I bet Del Valle sub for that reason. Yeah, congratulations. They're allowed to stop fights to check. No, they're not. No, the unified rules of MMA say that once a fight is waved off and they go to replay, it can only be done in a fight-ending situation. So the replay official then can tell you it's either the fight ended like the referee said it did, or the referee made a mistake and now it's a no contest. That's the unified rules. Period. Padilla by decision plus 550. How does that make sense? It's a big number, but he's a big underdog, T.O. Phillips. So that's why you're getting big numbers, because he's plus 170 on the money line. So I think plus 550 for Padilla's decision prop is very, very juicy. Hyder round 2, round 3 by KO. I don't mind that at all. Looks juicy, you saying? The short notice is, of course, a minus, but the catch weight up 10 pounds counters it a bit, maybe. Reese was whooping dog pound. Yeah, that was, well, no, I thought Rodriguez was doing pretty good there, but obviously, you know, he got kicked in the sack and we didn't know what was going to find out there. Okay, you're right. Should have been a no contest. Yeah, I mean, it should have been, but it wasn't. That's the point, you know, like the rules blatantly say that it should have been a no contest. So how is the commission, which is supposed to be following its own rules, making up new rules? Well, it's because they're trying to manufacture a result. Are they allowed to receive info through an earpiece? Whether or not there was an eye poke could be why it was delayed. No, they don't have an earpiece. The referee makes the final decision in the cage. They're the ones that are in charge of fighter safety, so they get to call when the fight is over. The only way the anti-Waldo fight should have been restarted is if Mark Smith called time. Yes, but he didn't call time. He stepped in and he stopped it, and that was referee error. He missed the eye poke. He stopped the fight thinking it was over by knockout, and so it's a no contest after. Difference between time and stopping it. Yep, and that's correct. We got, even if it was a delayed call, it was stopped. It should have been a no contest. I think they asked Waldo if he wanted to continue, and he said yes. Who cares about adrenaline dump? Don't eye poke. B-Neg saying, great call on Dana in the UFC. Preach, brother. Absolutely. 16 million handle. What the fuck? Yeah, that's what people are saying. Sources, trust me, bro. I know. That's what you got to do, though. You know, I mean, it's like, we'll find out now. And look, man, if Harry Mack is talking about some sources that don't exist, you know, he's going to have something to answer to here, you know, because you can't just say like the things that he's saying, because it's a potential defamation suit waiting to happen. So I think that he probably does have sources. He probably has been talking to some of these people, and we'll see what comes out as this story starts to progress here. Where do we actually find out how much money was bet on a fight or a game, and is it accurate info? I think you would have to go to the sports books. And I think that they're probably required to be able to provide that information to people, or at least provide it to the government, you know, the regulatory agencies. We got Dixon saying, I bet you Kim Winslow knows some shit. Yeah, she probably does, man. Boy Blue is in the room saying, Weezy, what is up, dude? Good to see you hanging out in here. And yep, Phillips, that's a fact. And that more than low-level NFL games and more than NBA games take on. And over a 15 times an Apex UFC preliminary fight. So obviously there was something going on, and it's up to the UFC to stop that fight. You know, it's up to the commission to stop that fight. They both blew it, and they didn't do their job. And if you bet on those fights, you got fucked. If you bet on the Delgarian fight and you weren't on the Del Valle side, you got fucked. And even when, you know, when Caesar's William Hill goes out there and just says like immediately afterwards, we're refunding all the bets. It was a fixed fight. Smash the like button for my Uncle Weezy. Truly appreciate my guy Dan Levy, half the battle, hanging out in here. Hope all is well. Mike Oakley in the room saying Derek Lewis is a prophet. The UFC script exposed. And he did say before he fought Taliesin Teixeira that the UFC was scripted, and that the script is he's winning by first round knockout. So people are going to be showing that clip. I know that. B-Reg, where can we find out how much money was bet on a game or a fight? Beat Fanatic saying, Weezy, did you hear Josh Thompson speak about the new rules regarding fouls in MMA? One thing he mentioned was that an outstretched hands will be given an initial warning, then a point taken if continued. Yeah, I mean, like, just because it's in the rules, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to abide by the rules. It's also in the rules that when you call a fight off, you can't restart it. Yet that's happened 4 times now in the last 6 events. So just because they change the rules, it doesn't mean that the commission is actually going to abide by the rules. Anytime a fighter, especially a favorite, loses, these degen gamblers will claim it was rigged. Well, what do you fucking expect? We've just seen rigged fights play out in real time. Guys, however bad this Isaac Delgarian thing is, the Lucas Almeida situation is the exact same fucking thing. So why wouldn't people think that that if they lose a bet that it was fucking rigged? What are they supposed to think, Iceland farts? I mean, how many fights have to get rigged out in the open before people start saying, yeah, like the reason I lost this bet is because they probably fucking rigged it. Hopefully, we start to get some real results here, because it's gotten to the point where, I mean, I'm on this massive losing streak, and every week I'm walking face first into one of these trap lines. I lost money on Jake Matthews versus Neil Magny. Difference between a big winning night and a big losing night for me. I lost money on fucking on Alvarez not getting that finish against Luque. I lost money on the Anti-Delia Waldo Cortez Acosta fight. I lost money on the Lucas Almeida fight. I lost money on all these fucking fights. The Bulgarian fight. Bulgarian was the ass shaving of the week. So, I mean, like, yeah, I'm starting to think that maybe it is all fucking fixed. What are we supposed to think? The FBI is investigating the UFC. You got sports books out there fucking refunding wagers, losing wagers because of blatantly fixed fights. So yeah, for the next few months, you guys are probably going to have to fucking deal with some people being like, yeah, it was probably fixed. That's why I lost the money. And why is that? Because the UFC isn't doing their fucking job. Because the commission isn't doing their fucking job. Because they're corrupt. And because people are losing faith in the product because of that. It pisses me off. This is how I try to make my living, you guys. And now it looks like it's more WWE than UFC. That's a proposal, what Thompson was talking about. Okay, not an actual new rule. Got it. They're setting up Herzog to be the fall guy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that information has any teeth to it at all. Oi, Weezy, the Chicago legend, always hoping to randomly bump into you in Chicago and scream, "Oi!" That would be awesome, dude. You never know. You never know. And maybe he is right about that. We'll see. But I mean, like, there's a lot of people that we could look into, I'm sure, man. Did you see your tweet was on Ariel Helwani's MMA Hour? I did see that. Yeah, that was amazing. Like I say, like, I'm a nobody in this space, you know, compared to a lot of the people that have been around for a while doing this. Like my partner on Stat Diggers, DFS by the Numbers, he's been doing this for a long time, longer than I have, you know. So like being on there with him, you know, having our tweets shown on that show was wild to see that, you know. It'd be like seeing one of my tweets shown, you know, like on a UFC broadcast, because, you know, I as somebody who's comes from the markets, comes from finance, you know, actuarial science, you know, like math is a big part of everything that I do. And when mathematical anomalies happen in front of your eyes, you can see it. You can fucking see it. So yeah, I mean, like when I saw that line moving, that line, Del Valle by round 1, you know, I knew that the fix was in already. Yep, the line movement tweet. That's right. Yeah. And Jaquan saying the Lucas Almeida broken hand at the weigh-in and fight still happens a couple weeks ago. Yeah, that's just as bad as the Bulgarian fight. Like the UFC let that fight happen. And everybody knew Lucas Almeida had a broken hand, but the UFC let the fight happen. So they've got a fucking integrity problem, you guys. They got a massive integrity problem, and it's not going to go away anytime soon, because the silence has been deafening from Dana White and the UFC brass for all of these abnormalities that have been happening, not just in the betting markets, but with completely incompetent refereeing and judging, which he could call out whenever he wants to. Half the battle saying, corn is from Bakersfield. So it really is a hotbed then for that kind of music. Only Dan would have known. I did not know that corn was from Bakersfield, California. Hopefully Taint opened up. We got Iceland Fart saying, I don't know about Taint, but corn is from Bakersfield. We got Sasha saying, Weezy, I just joined and rewinded to listen to your take on MBS. I love it. And no one is agreeing with me. Don't forget, she's fighting for her career. Yeah, I mean, like, I'll take it at plus 225. Give me plus 900 on the submission prop. The ninja choke is live. The arm bar is live. A back take is live. I think there are a number of different ways that she can find some grappling success in this fight and make it look even like a good value loser if it doesn't cash. But I'm hoping that it does cash, and I'm hoping she wins this fight by submission. We got Iceland saying, I don't know how many referees they have, but where I work, there's a lot of shit workers, and they don't fire them because we need people. So sadly, they just might badly need referees and can't afford to lose. And I suppose that's probably true. But I think if we found out that these referees actually have really cushy jobs and make really good money, that there'd probably be a lot of people who would be like, hey, I think that's a pretty fucking cool job. I get to be in the cage with professional fighters. You know, I get to travel around the world on other people's dimes, get to stay in some of the nicest hotels all across the world and work once a week. for a couple hours and make like a fucking full-time salary for that? It's not a bad gig, man. So I don't buy that. As somebody who's, like the reason I'm doing this, the reason I have this YouTube channel, the reason I create this stats product and sell it on OddsShopper is because I looked for a job for fucking years and couldn't find one. I was begging for work. I hear the word overqualified. I got out of college after going back to school in 2008 after Lehman Brothers crashed. All of us financial guys lost our jobs, right? And we were all kind of like looking for what the next gig was going to be. I decided I was going to go back to school and study statistics because I saw the stock market kind of switching from like a relationship business to like a mathematical business, something that was going to be run on the numbers quantitatively rather than qualitatively. So I went back and I got a degree in statistics. I passed 3 actuarial exams and couldn't find a fucking job. So like, I don't want to hear that they can't fucking find good referees. That's, you're not fucking looking hard enough. There's a lot of fucking people in this country that would love a job like that. Fucking, I'd sign up. You could fly me to Abu Dhabi and to Paris and I'll judge 2 fights every night. And I don't think it fucking takes a rocket scientist to do it. So I don't know, man. Like, I think there's a lot of really able-bodied people out there actually looking for work that they can't fucking find because, the corporate businesses, all these things, they're not the same as they used to be. And, it's a young man's world. Once you get a little bit older, man, people don't want to fucking hire you. So I don't understand that. MBS does not need takedown. She pulls guard, which is not logged as a takedown, but she gets subs without takedowns being logged. And yeah, I mean, she's got a nasty armbar from guard. That's blatantly untrue. He said, okay, fair enough. Yeah, sure. Go back and watch it. He said time and did not wave his hands. Well, then why did okay. Just make up shit then. He also does not wave his hands. What? He just steps in? So then why did they fucking call the fight off and then start it back up? Cousin Dan, did I hear my name being brought up? No, you didn't hear shit. You can't hear. Gets hit by car, competes anyway. I'm sure this is fine, and I will tell absolutely nobody for days at a time. Yes, this is normal behavior. Yep, that's another one. D is in the room. What is up, my man? Thank you for the fault is whoever washed into the cage and maybe Waldo's team for bringing him to the stool and not taking it, but it was just a strange situation. But I think Mark Smith didn't do anything wrong. I'm not sure why everyone rushed into the cage. Sorry, last question. I promise. Who do you think is the best referee currently? Because it seems like all of them are shit. I don't know, man. Like, I think they just, the thing is like, I think they're all involved with it. I think they all fucking, are told like, hey man, this one needs to go over. This one needs to go under. Do what you got to do, because these guys, if there was any kind of accountability for making bad decisions, I would believe that they really care about the outcomes being genuine, but there never is. Yeah, I know. Who would have thought that paying poor, desperate fighters $12,000 a fight and only letting them fight twice a year would lead to them being tempted by bribes? And while you've got tens of millions of dollars being gambled total on each fight and you're paying the fighters $12K, yeah, nobody could possibly see it coming, right? Michael Bisping didn't mention Dixon Cider in one of his videos. Did he really? That I think Mark Smith is the best, or some unnamed refs. They are hit and miss, either the best ever or out for blood sacrifice. Some of them are, man. My telephone game is being played real bad when someone misremembers what happened and it keeps propagating. Always got to check it ourselves. I say bullshit to that, Phillips. If you fight in the UFC, you have the opportunity to make bigger money as a coach. Start your own gym. It's what you make of it. Yeah, I mean, I guess to a certain extent, but 12-12, man. You know, some of these people are going to have temptations, and a lot of these guys, like I heard people talking about how Bulgarian was pissed off at the UFC that they were keeping him on the shelf for too long. He wanted to fight and they wouldn't let him. I don't know. I mean, there was some weird shit going on there. Get the certifications at the very least. You could ref some regional shows. I hope you're joking about Mark Smith VOR. Yeah, I mean, like I don't get it. Yeah. Weezy, what about next week? Are you Shang Gang or what? I don't know yet, Paul. I really don't know. I haven't looked into that fight. I always find it tricky to cap the fights where somebody's moving up a weight class, man. You know, like you just don't know how they're going to handle that up 10 pounds. But I think it's a winnable fight for her. I mean, Wei Li is a phenomenal fighter. So I'm going to have to really look into it, Paul. There's no way that I'm going to be posting a prediction on that until I really go deep on that one, because two phenomenal fighters. Got to see what I see in the numbers, what I see in the trends, what the betting lines hold, and maybe we can find some value there, man. We got regarding Tulio. Can we talk about the elephants back in the room? Are you talking about Marco Tulio's girlfriend? He's been having to load that dump truck for a while now, even more since her win last week. Is that plus for cardio conditioning, or could we see overexertion here? They seem like professionals to me, both of them. So I think that we're going to get a really good performance out of Tulio. He's performing well in life. You know, he's winning fights. He's winning in life. Marco Tulio is doing really well. And, you know, you're doing well in life if your partner is Norma Dumont, because she is gorgeous, just a gorgeous woman. All I want is one of those Chauncey Billups auto shufflers. Yeah, man. The glasses, the contacts, the marked cards, all that shit, man. So thank you guys for hanging out. Appreciate each and every one of you. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 111. Just a real quick recap. The Myra Bueno Silva money line at plus 225 is the dog pick of the week. Josh Hokett to shave the ass of Max Jimenez is the ass shaving of the week. And the Greasy 4-leg parlay is over 2.5 rounds for Pennington Gomez. Josh Hokett to win inside the distance. The Marco Tulio by decision prop at plus 200. And Joseph Morales to win inside the distance at minus 129. That comes out to plus 846 on Bet Rivers Sportsbook. So let me fix that. Bet Rivers Sportsbook. So let's cash it, make 2 out of the last 6. Hopefully we get some honest fights and some honest results here going forward for the next couple of weeks. But I appreciate you guys watching. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment down below. And I would appreciate it if one person signed up today to the probability stats and content package, where you get all of my content that you don't see here on YouTube. About 4 hours of shows every single week. The stats packages, the betting models, you know, all the plus EV bets that we come up with every week on probability, the fight write-ups, access to the Discord, track bets, everything. Please consider joining that Odd Shopper and supporting my work. God bless each and every one of you guys. Appreciate you for hanging out, and let's make some money watching UFC Vegas 111. Have a good night, everyone. Take care.